Hi, I'm Jay,
And I'm Steph.
and welcome to episode 3 of Pickles and Pasta with.
Steph and Jay.
There you go. See, we're really getting our
Getting
beats.
our
Are
groove.
just
Yeah.
we're just definitely winning Grammys on this one for sure. So we're gonna just jump right in. Hopefully, you're enjoying what we've been doing so far, and we'll continue to keep you entertained. Just to kind of quick little recap of kind of where we're at. Steph and I have been partners for centuries in my heart, and we work together and we live together and we're partners in everything, in her businesses and my business and our business and different things that we do, and we have our own separate lives from that and different backgrounds, and we're here to kind of share a little bit of insight of what's going on in our worlds and how creativity, which is really the worlds that we're in, and how the world around us affects that positively and negatively, and how we work on that, and hopefully come up with some interesting things that we can be helpful to those of the two or three of you out there that are watching and listening to this. As I said, I think there's a lot going on in the world right now. I think everyone is affected in their own way. Some are affected by totally staying out of it and not watching the news or going online or whatever. And I remember someone telling me that and saying that if something really, really, really bad happens, someone's going to find me and tell me. Well, on the one hand, I was like, okay, that's such an ostrich sort of way of going through life. But those of us who are, whether we like it or not, paying attention to what's going on, I can totally get that because it can be overwhelming. So we wanted to talk about a few things, and our whole idea is picking some topics that are kind of in the world around us, news or whatever that means, out there, and how they're affecting us. Not just like that we're talking about all the time, but like subconsciously or somehow within different conversations or different things we do, how those things are affecting us and our work and our relationships and everything else. So Steph is, as usual, has come up with a great list of topics that we're going to talk about, or Steph and her sidekick Steph GPT. I guess I'll start it off, and then we'll kind of jump in, if that's okay, because Steph somehow seems to think that I should start it off.
It's your
So
voice.
that's my voice, right? I don't know if I don't think it's the entire world, because I think somehow we can't, as a society, coordinate things like Father's Day and Mother's Day and all this just ridiculous silliness. But in America, and I think in North America, or all of North America, whatever, this past Sunday was Father's Day. Everybody has a relationship with a mother and a father, whether they had a mother and a father or not. Like that's how you started. For those of you who don't know, that is how you started. And some people have a mother and a father, and that's their life, and they have that throughout their entire life. And some people, something happens, either someone passed away or there's a divorce or whatever it is, and some people just have one. Some people have a mother, some have a father. And as some of you know or may not know, Steph's company, Have Some Fun Today, was founded because of the thing that her father used to say after every conversation, every meeting, and every interaction. He would close by saying, "Have some fun today." And when he passed, Steph just kept thinking about it, and people were telling her about it and how he touched their lives. And she said, I can't let that die with him, and started the brand around that, which is a beautiful thing. And it's a true story. And it's a beautiful story. And so obviously her father had a large impact, on her life, and how he was as a leader, not just as a father, but as a leader. And so I don't know, Steph, maybe you want to kind of jump in a little bit there and kind of add.
Yes, definitely. I brought up the whole Father's Day thing because, I'm clearly not a father, but my life was impacted so much by my father. And I was thinking about him on Father's Day and looking at his pictures, and I was just thinking about the man that he was and the men that our fathers are in this world. and the qualities that I found in my father. You know, he had so many amazing qualities, you know, that made him such an amazing leader. I mean, that those qualities that my dad had. I mean, he was down to earth, yet he, you know, was funny, and he would say, I mean, to talk to people and to end a conversation with, have some fun today. I mean, that's it's kind of out there, you know? I mean, he was a successful businessman, and here he is, like, coming up with this somewhat corny statement in a way. You know, originally I'd be like, okay, dad, you know, but as time went on, it was just part of who he was. And I really question, and I wish I knew the answer, like, where did that happen in his life? You know, where did he make the decision that that was something he wanted to share with people? And he doubled down. I mean, it was all day long, every day, to everyone he talked to. So what was it? My dad was a psychology major. I mean, he was not a dummy. He was someone who was very successful in business and in life.
Well, he was also a coach, right? He was a coach and he
Yeah,
was a sales guy.
he was a sales guy, a coach, a teacher, but he had his master's in psychology. You know, so there's depth there, and he went through a lot of things in his life. You
Right.
know, my dad was a self-made man, like, completely. He was born out of wedlock. His father at 4 years old went and got him from his mother and took him away at 4 years old to live with his family. So my dad was ended up being a stepson of a family with his real dad. But do you think I mean, the mother was too happy about that? No, she wasn't. And she didn't really treat him very well. And so my dad kind of grew up, like, with some tough experiences. And yet he never had bitterness, which I think is really amazing, because I think so many people today take, you know, situations that they're handed that aren't the greatest, and they have bitterness. You know, that is a rare person that deals with what life is handed and makes lemonade out of lemons. And that is what my dad did. So I was looking at his qualities, and it was making me understand that's what I look for in leadership. And it made me think about the leaders today, and even our leader of our country today. And the qualities that my dad had are very different qualities that than what I see in President Trump, for
You
example.
think he would have been a good president, your dad?
I think he would have been an amazing president. He um, he really cared about, like, if you were his employee, for example, he really cared about you.
I remember that time when we went to World, the company that he had, and there was
Yeah.
a guy there. I don't know how old this guy was. He must have been 60 or something like that. This old guy, whatever. He
Yep.
worked there in the warehouse,
Hmm.
and he saw Steph and he just said hi, whatever, and he literally just started crying. I mean, not like bawling his eyes out, but he was like crying, like legitimately tears, like really emotional, just thinking about her dad and how great he was. And this is like, I mean, this guy was low on the totem pole. I mean, this guy was not like a big executive at the company, like, but somehow, you know, your dad obviously saw him, must have spoken to him, must have said, have some fun today to him, I'm sure, probably countless times, and, felt his energy. And so, yeah, yeah, I mean, I felt the presence of your dad without having seeing him in this plane that we're on right now. So, yeah, it's, yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, I mean, and like that, there's that father figure, right? Like we hear that father figure sort of thing, and I think it's interesting in that we're not. It's not as black and white and traditional, whatever that word means, as it was. Like there's a father and a mother, and the man does this and the woman does that. Like they're amazing, female leaders, women leaders, like and they're not fathers, they're mothers, And it's just interesting how like there's a natural thing about like father, and I mean, and this was your you said it, fathers and leaders, and it's interesting. Like I wonder how that evolves. I mean, a mother is a mother, and there's biology to this. Like but it's interesting like how that's going to be looked at. Are like our women, as women get the opportunity finally and are pushing through and have real leadership positions in real big companies, major things, politics, everything else. In time, I mean, are we going to look at that differently? I mean, I wonder. I mean, and it's be interesting to see.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, a woman can be just as great a leader as a man. I fully believe that. But just in the Father's Day, you know, kind of bucket, it made me think about, what kind of man makes a great father and
Yeah,
what are the qualities that that person has to be a great leader. And the whole leadership thing is just something I just feel that we really should be looking at as a people, as a world, as a country, all the things. And who are the people that we are giving that role to? What are their real leadership qualities?
yeah. I mean, but you get to the question of nature nurture in this, right? Like, are we putting our children in a place to become the next great leaders, or have they been coddled, or have they not gotten the opportunities or the training or whatever? Like, it's an interesting question of like where the future will be of leadership, and will it be, will it even be the way it is right now? Will it be this one person and whatever? It'd be interesting to see. I mean, I mean, through history, there's the leader of the pack, right? Like there's the leader, and as a pack of dogs, there's the leader of the pack, and then there's in different groups in different situations of life, there's a captain of a team. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. And yeah, I think more than ever as a society, we're looking for those great leaders. And I don't know that we're all very happy with the leaders around the world, that we have. But yeah, hopefully we can look back at as kids the way we looked up to certain people, and maybe we can somehow get those to come and have a new evolution of great leaders going forward.
But honestly, let's just say this out loud. I mean, people learn by example. And so what examples are we setting for true leadership? We really need to consider these ideas because I'm not seeing strong leadership today.
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel you. I mean, I think, yeah, I think it's a big issue, but I think when you're in a society, you're in whatever it is, you can break it down globally, or and then you can take a country, a city, and town, and building, or whatever. If you're in a situation where you don't have a great leader, or you don't believe the leader at the moment is great, it creates an incredible opportunity. I think on the one hand, you can go and say, okay, well, I want to be like them because they're showing what great leadership is. Just on the opposite side of that, you can be like, I'm not going to be like them. I am going to do better. I'm going to be a leader that does it differently. And so I think it does create incredible opportunity for other people, existing generation, next generation of that, to kind of grow and do that. In my opinion, I mean, so time will tell. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I think we joked. I don't. I think I mentioned. I think we joked about this. Whatever. Do you know there's a Children's Day? Like what the
Oh,
fuck?
yeah, but not in America. Where
Yeah,
is
no,
it?
in America. Yes, there
Oh,
is.
oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I thought it was
yeah,
in another
yeah. I
country.
was like, what the hell? A Children's Day? Like that's insane. Like how can you have Children's Day? Like that makes no sense. Every day is Children's Day. I don't
Every
know. I
day
just
is
think.
Mother's Day.
I mean, Mother's Day makes sense, and Father's Day makes sense, and Grandparents' Day makes sense, and administrative. I don't even know if that exists, but there was like Administrative Assistance Day. Like there makes sense to have a day for people that just don't have a day, like that don't have the day that's all about them. But if you're a parent, or if you're a child, every day is about you. Like no, period. So Yeah, I'm voting. No. I'm giving that a big no. Like that's not happening. So anyway, as much as I love my child, she every day is her day, and she's not getting another one on top of that. So sorry. Another thing I think that's important for all of us to kind of that I think we are all dealing with, which is you know the current world situation in all forms, whether it's you know war, politics, economy, culture, all the different things that are part of our current universe. There's a certain atmosphere in the air and that we're all feeling. And there's a lot of anxiety that a lot of people are feeling. And I don't know that everybody's always conscious of it. I speak to a lot. I mean, I speak to a lot of people every day all over the world. And I don't know. I'm pretty empathetic, and I can feel the energy like the second I see somebody or get on the call, or and you and I have been it. Like I'll walk down the street and I'll say something, I'll feel something from somebody, or I'm like, ooh, they're not doing well today, and they may look totally fine, and I'm just picking up on some sort of energy about it. But it's something I don't necessarily. I know people talk about it, but I don't know that we're necessarily addressing the situation in as well as we could.
I mean, I'm definitely feeling it, as you know.
I had no
You
idea.
know, I mean, it's everywhere you look. I mean, if you go to the gym, the TV screens are all news. Who needs to see the news when you're trying to do something healthy for your body? You pick up your phone, and it's inevitable that there's going to be some political or strife or some other issue. It's not all politics. It's a lot of different things. And I get that there are medications that people can take, and I'm all for it if it truly is helping someone and it's not making them a zombie. And I'm just going to say, I have never been on any type of anti anxiety or depressant, but I have thought about it. Definitely have thought about it. Like,
Yeah.
what would it feel like to not feel this so much? Um, I mean, yesterday I was kind of a basket case, like some days that you just can't handle the energy. And thank God I was able to just hunker down, do my work from my bed, literally, and just calm myself down. By the end of the day, I was fine. But midday, I was very anxious. And of course, it's going to present issues, in just interpersonal relations. And I'm seeing that and I'm feeling that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's true. I mean, I think you know, you get angsty, right? And you snap. Not, I'm not saying you personally. I'm saying it's general. Anybody that's got a lot of anxiety or that's feeling stressed, they don't necessarily know what to do with it. And I think there's just like this whole interesting balance. Like we've been talking about mental health for a long time now. I'm very conscious of that, and I think that's important. I think it's valuable. I think, as with most things we tend to go a little bit too overboard with things, and it gets a little wonky. And same thing with medication. Like too many kids that are given, antidepressants, that shouldn't have them. Even adults that kind of self medicate and stuff like that. I don't think that's great. I mean, there's certainly the marijuana that many people like to use, for various things to calm themselves, and whatever works is fine. But you have these realities that you don't necessarily know what to do. You don't have an outlet for it, and it's going to affect you. You might say something to the wrong person at the wrong time. You may not. There may be an opportunity right in front of your face that would be so good for you, but you're not feeling it. You're feeling so stressed about something else that you don't even know. So you haven't processed it, and you don't know why all of a sudden you don't feel like talking to people, or why all of a sudden you don't feel like going someplace, or
Yeah.
why you do this menial task instead of this other task, or why you do this really hard task instead of this menial task that you really just should do and get out of the way. Like it's affecting us in this different way. And I don't think, as these things are, I don't think people that are quote unquote experts in those spaces they're not there yet. Like they haven't figured a lot of this stuff out. So I think it's tricky as people are trying to navigate is like there's no resource to kind of go to. So we're kind of a little bit on our own, right? Like we've kind of the world has created this place with social media and with our everything on our phones that we can isolate ourselves, right? So and then we can just look it up online and think that's solving it, but that's not necessarily the solution. So yeah, I think it's an interesting sort of it's just an interesting time that we're going through, and yeah, I mean,
Yeah. One good career choice would be to become a therapist because we need them and it's hard to find them. Actually, I had several people actually recently ask me, do I know a good therapist? And thank God I love my therapist. She's amazing. But, I think a lot of people are, first of all, intimidated to do therapy. And they think, I think a lot of people believe that, oh, well, if I just get a therapist, I get an appointment and I start doing it, it's going to solve my problems. Unfortunately, one of the main struggles of dealing with therapy is actually finding the right therapist. So I see that as the biggest hindrance to people getting help with therapy because I think a lot of people don't have the bandwidth to actually go through that process. I know when I found my therapist, I did interview a couple of therapists and I told them up front, which I think that a lot of people do this. They say, let's do a couple sessions, see if it works. And, in the one instance, I just didn't think that the woman I was, testing had the breadth of experience that I personally needed. It has to kind of match your breadth of experience or be larger than that. And so I think to give anybody advice around that, I would say realize that you're going to have to interview a few different people. But if you can find a therapist that you click with, it can really, really help make a huge difference.
yeah. I mean, I think when it comes to therapy, there's a lot of different factors there. I think there's still you know people that feel a label on around it, or that there's some negativity, like there's something wrong with them or something like that, and there's been the stuff of like coaches and therapists and consultant, all sort of silliness that we seem to love doing as a society. So I think there's that part too, that people are a little reluctant. I think the process, as you've said, of finding the right therapist can be a bit challenging. I think that process will get, interestingly, as much as I see the medical world getting better in many, many ways, I think some of the stuff is getting like a million times worse. And it's just kind of this weird complication that I think it's a transition period. I think it'll get through this. I think technology will help in many ways where we'll be able to kind of find the people that we're looking for. And therapy is one of those things. I think we'll be able to, without having to feel intimidated and without having to feel like there's something wrong with us, be able to kind of connect with that right person.
Yeah.
I think will be great. But I also think that, and we've had this conversation, and you at many times during your journey have said, well, I really just have this one thing I really want to work on, or like, well, I'll be good once I get this, then they give me the tools, then I'll be good. And it's only going through the process yourself that you realize, well, it's not that. It's not just they're going to tell me the three things I need to know, and then I'm going to be. It's not that there's anything wrong with you at all. It's just it helps to have that person who you develop this different kind of relationship with than those in your day to day life, lovers, partners, family, siblings, children, whatever. You have that different kind of relationship. They can give you insight because they have expertise, and if they're good, they're continuing to learn and to continue learn new techniques that they can do to help their clients or
Mm-hmm.
patients. But I think there's that too, that people don't even know what it is, right? Like when you go to a doctor, what that expectation is, like a medical doctor, regular, not a not a mental doctor, or a physical doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you arm hurts, or if you break your arm, you know what happens. I go to the doctor, they put me in a cast, then this happens, I get better, and that's the end. And I don't see that doctor anymore. Like, you get that. If you have a cold, or if you have the flu, if you, God forbid, have to have surgery, you understand that relationship. Whereas a therapist relationship is very, very different. Like, I mean, this is, it's a commitment. It's a long-term commitment. It doesn't mean that it's forever and ever and ever and ever for everybody. And sometimes it's just good maintenance, like that they like having it. And maybe it's not every week, or it's every other week, or it's every month, or whatever. But I think there's that too, that people don't totally necessarily understand
Oh
what the
yeah,
relationship is.
they definitely don't. I mean, from the people that I have spoken with, which are a lot of people who have never done it before, and it's actually surprising. But I've only been doing it since 2021, so I haven't been doing it that long, and I was reluctant, I have to
Yeah,
say,
I know.
because I really felt that I had such intelligent friendships that we spoke about these really deep topics, and I thought that that was my.
Well, you learned that. You learned that lesson pretty quick.
Yeah, no, I did. I really did. And I mean, look,
So
here's the.
disappointing when the people in your that you think are really intelligent in your life, you find out maybe aren't. It's a
Well, I mean, I still think that the people I'm referring to are very intelligent, and I still admire their intelligence. But what I do want to say is what I've learned, stop laughing, is that I want to operate at a really high level. I want to operate at my highest level.
yeah.
And like even the anxiety conversation, I can't operate at my highest level when I'm feeling anxious about living in the world, you know?
I feel you.
So I want to operate at my highest level. And that's what I bring with my conversations with Carolyn. We discuss what's happening, what I'm navigating, and she lets me talk. She doesn't tell me what to do ever. And if a therapist is telling you what to do, it's not a really the greatest situation. There's a mutual respect that we have developed over the years. And she is really, I feel like she is, she's like this inside voice in my head when I'm dealing with something tricky and I want to bring I want to get the most out of it. I don't want to piss people off. I want to understand. It has just really helped me up level my communication and my relationships.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm thrilled that you found a situation that works well for you. I mean, you obviously, before you went down this road, it was very foreign to you.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something that anybody in your family has ever done, and that they didn't even understand why you would do it. In their minds, like, what is there to you talk to us? Like, what do you have to talk to? They didn't even understand that they may be part of why you really should be talking to a therapist. Um, and how really, quite frankly, they all should be talking to therapists for sure. But it's in their mind. They're so blocked in their mindsets that they just aren't. They're not open to see it. You're different in that regard. You are open. You were willing. I mean, and again, you were not totally jumping in, but you were like, I think it's worth exploring this, which I think is a good quality that you have. That you're always open to trying things, and if they don't work, they don't work, and that's okay. But yeah, it's a good thing that you have that, and I think it's great. I think it's a great example, because I think it's one of the things that you've noticed, and I've always said that within the world that you're in, and the people that you do know, and you're famous within your world, people respect and admire you, and so it's very likely that by you doing it and being open about it, other people that may not have been willing to go to therapy are going to do that, and I think that's a positive thing.
It's like working out with a trainer. It's
Yeah,
like
it's a trainer for
it's
your brainer.
helping people, you know, operate at a high level.
Yeah, you just went right over that. I had a great line. It's a trainer for your brainer. I think that's the news. That's a good one. We're gonna that's what they should do. That I'm, instead of saying mental therapist or psychologist, I'm a trainer for your brainer. That's the new tagline, kids. Anyway, so on to that kind of topic that we're talking about. I mean, I think, you know, with all the things that are going on, there's definitely, if you add the anxiety and everything else, it creates tension in relationships and families. And I know you have most definitely experienced that, and you know, personally, which of course has affected me personally. And you know, it's interesting how things that seem so small can maybe turn into something like really big, and how I think it's with all this stuff that's going on, I think it's opening up those who are really conscious or open to being conscious. There are little things that come up throughout our lives that ultimately create triggers for us, and we don't necessarily know them till they happen. Like we don't know why, but yeah, I find that's happening a lot more so now than it's happened before. You know, or I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago. I mean, do you feel that?
Well, I mean, look, the elephant in the room. The political climate has caused so much division amongst people, amongst families. I mean, literally, my therapist has shared with me, not personal stories, but she's like, Steph, people are getting divorced over this. There are, families not speaking to each other. So, on a very dysfunctional level, there a lot of dysfunction is happening because of what's happening in our country and in our world. It's not just our country. It is the entire planet. Like for instance, you being Jewish, I'm an Italian American. We have different cultural heritage in a way, with our ethnicity. And there are certain things that are very important to you. And I totally get that. And then there are certain things that are totally important to me. And sometimes these issues are so complex that they are like spider webs, like
Don't say spider. You don't like spiders.
I don't like spiders, but it becomes like a web of intricacies, like, with different issues, have so many complex components to it. They may overlap with a different issue that is affecting me. And because of this one complex part of it, it affects how the success of what I'm hoping for happens. And I know this is very confusing for me to even say, but all of these issues are interwoven. That's how I'm seeing it. And some of them play against what I want, and some of them play towards what I want, and vice versa with you. And so sometimes it causes tension in our relationship. I mean, and we are very well suited, and we are so respectful of each other that when I see that and I feel that with us over something that has nothing really to do with you and I and our actual relationship, that's something that I'm sure is affecting the general population very strongly. And so what do you say to people like who are going through like serious conflict within their close relationships? And that could be family, that could be intimate relationships, that could be friendships, that could be work colleagues. So like we have to really look at what are some ways to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think well, to the point of the triggers, I think that's something that's a little bit interesting in this kind of space that we're in, because we don't necessarily know what they're going to be, right? So we know it's more known now that people have different opinions, whereas before, you don't talk about politics, you don't talk about religion, you don't talk about sex. There are things you don't talk about. Now everybody talks about everything, which is cool in many, 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 many
Wait, wait,
ways.
wait, wait. I have to interrupt you. They don't talk about it. They There is no talking. They're screaming.
Okay, let me rephrase that. So, I mean, our parents necessarily didn't necessarily know what the people they were seeing on a daily basis political affiliation was.
Yes.
They didn't necessarily know that their neighbor was a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. They didn't know that they leaned more communist than socialist to Mark. They didn't know that. They didn't know
Right.
that because it just wasn't publicly spoken about. It just wasn't
Yeah.
done. Just didn't do it. So whereas now people wave that flag and they go rah 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 and they say this stuff, and then you get into the conflicting things
Yeah,
like
the getting
there's
of the
something
head.
wrong with you because you don't think the way I think, even though there's these 37 other things that we totally align with, but you think this, I think, and then it gets all fucked up and people
Yeah.
don't talk. I agree. It's the biggest
We don't
issue
talk.
that we don't talk. We talk over each other like this. I used to have this outside of the political realm. So this has nothing to do with politics. And this is kind of where I see a lot of this stuff. And I'm not by no means right or whatever. Politics is in a way a byproduct of a much bigger issue that's going on, and it is this communication thing and this stress and this anxiety and all this other stuff. I had it with writers and people when we were having writing rooms and having discussions and working on projects together, and somebody would be speaking and they would get interrupted, and I would be like, okay, that's not we're not going to do that. Like it's their they have the floor right now, and we're going to listen. And then I could force them into that. I could force one person to be like, out of respect, you have to let the other person speak. Okay, you can physically do that in an environment. But what I noticed, and I would then speak to them about it afterwards and helping to guide them, which was my role basically, is that even though they were shutting up, they weren't really listening because
Yeah.
the other person said something and they're already ready for what they're going to say.
Yeah.
They're not listening to the remainder of what this person is saying. They're not feeling their emotion. They're not feeling their pain or their happiness or anything else. They're just like, I'm going to say this. I know what I'm going to say, and I don't give a shit what this person has to say. So now they're doing like this thing, or they're just talking over each other. So that is just absolutely not productive. And because that sort of way of being is okay or considered okay, which it isn't okay, it causes the political issues and it causes the religious issues and it causes all these other issues that really aren't issues. Like they're really not. And the triggering part of this is what is interesting because you don't really know what someone else's trigger is. Like we've seen it. We've all seen it in society. And in you see somebody walking down the street, and all of a sudden they're like tense, or all of a sudden they flip out, and you're like, "What was it that made that happen?" And then when you get into personal situations, you know that, like, why is so and so upset right now? Like, I didn't say anything. Like, I didn't. I was agreeing with them, but now they're mad, or they're upset, or they broke something, or whatever. And I think again, I think this is where the psychological element and the experts or the people that are trained have to kind of work on that, is to try to understand what triggers are. And so that we as individuals can understand them so that when they come, we can prepare ourselves. We don't go all the way over the ledge, which I just don't think is healthy, because then it goes back to the part that now you're not talking, like you're just triggered. And, you know, how do we address those things to kind of get our base to be more solid and that way not as negatively affected?
Well, I think one of the ways is to actually start doing some real work on ourselves, because if you are the kind of person that can't hear any other perspective, then no one can actually have a conversation with you unless they completely agree with you on everything. And that is kind of what I'm seeing in America a lot. And you know that you're not going to change someone's mind, and actually nor do I want to. Like, we all have our own way of looking at the world, but I am open to talking to people and to learning and kind of understanding their perspective. And I think when we can operate at a higher level where we can actually open conversation and hear another perspective, I think that's one of the changes that's going to change the way we are with each other in the world. And I think it would make things a lot better. And
Yeah.
actually, that kind of leads in unless you have more to go on about this, but that was one of the things that we wanted to talk about in our rapid fire.
Oh, sorry, I'm not the sound effects guy. Sorry. All right. Well, I'm guessing our producer will come up with the sound effects to do a much better job. Although I don't know, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. So,
Um, yeah. I will just to one quick thing. I think the only thing I would say, and I do say when people do ask me, or if they do, want to hear what I have to say about that, I think it's important to be conscious of those things. And when you're in a relationship with somebody, whether it's a friendship or a partner or a husband or a wife or a parent or a child, whatever, when you see a conversation going there, when you see someone is triggered, you know, just be conscious of that and just do your best to kind of stay as level headed, because it's very easy for the triggered person to then get the other person triggered. And then you start to have these things. And then you end up doing things or saying things because you're just in this heated moment, which I just don't think is healthy. I think if you can figure out a way to take a breath, to take a minute, to, if you can go to another room or just maybe hug each other or, do something to be like, okay, let's let the temperature come down. Something's not right now. Whatever it is, we can't figure. Let's bring the temperature down, and then we can revisit it. But let's revisit it from a healthy place, because you're talking about somebody who you're in a relationship with, right? Like, again, it could be a business person that you're in a
yeah.
business relationship with.
Yeah.
You don't want to blow that over something that you don't know what they're dealing with at this moment, and it's unfair. So I think that would be my 2 cents, or maybe I think I went up to 5 cents on that one. But anyway,
Yeah.
so anyway, yes, I'm more than happy to jump in and go to rapid fire, which is, I know, your favorite part of the show.
Okay.
Okay.
So 3 questions. We're each going to answer them. I'm going to go first and ask Jay.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Okay.
So in terms of leadership, we were talking about leadership. Who would you say is the greatest leader ever in the world?
Okay, you're definitely not the special effects person or sound. You're definitely not the sound effects person. That's for sure.
No, not my forte.
Yeah, no, but you have many other skills, so that's good. Yeah, that's a pretty good question. I know I'm supposed to answer rapidly. I mean, look, I'm going to say what's the only thing that's coming into my mind. I don't know if this is unequivocal. I'm going to go with Moses. I know that probably fits the times of whatever we're going through, but I was really kind of racking my head and thinking of others, and Moses is the only one who kept coming back as I circled. So I'm going to go with that.
For some crazy reason, I'm thinking of presidents. I'm just thinking of presidents, and
Well, I was trying. that's that's what I was.
and honestly, like, I'm going to say a president because I do this quickly. I just what comes out.
Yeah, but who? But who?
I'm going to say JFK.
Yeah. Okay. I know this isn't a debate; it's rapid fire, so we're not going to.
Yeah. And honestly, I know that there was really no president that was perfect, and I know that he did
It's all good.
a lot
So
of.
wait. So let's get this. Let's okay. So
We're not doing the why.
I'm gonna put a timeout here. I'm calling a time. Throwing a timeout. So when we were talking about doing this rapid fire thing, rapid fire is supposed to be 1, 2, 3 rapid fire, one person, then the other person. So if we're changing it, that's fine, but I think we have to give it a different name.
So
it's rapid
we can
fire.
decide that off the podcast. Let's continue.
So okay. So go ahead.
The next question is, what is one piece of advice quickly that you would give people who are dealing with conflict in a relationship?
One piece of advice that I would give if people are dealing with conflict
in a relationship.
Yeah. Be empathetic and listen to what they're saying now, and listen to what the other person is actually saying, and listen to what they're not saying, and help them with what they need help with or they're looking for help with. Don't put yourself into their situation. be the person who helps them with the situation they're dealing with.
Okay. All right. Last question for you. You can ask me the ones later. All right. Do you remember that commercial, Calgon, Take Me Away?
Before my time.
Really?
Anyway, go on.
Do I have to explain the commercial?
Nope.
Okay. It was
Yeah,
the girl,
maybe you should. Maybe you should
girl
for
in the
some of the
bubble bath,
audience.
girl in the bubble
Maybe.
bath, you know,
Yeah.
working
No.
hard all
Wait.
day.
Wait. Hold on. Sorry, I'm cutting you off. Just you
Yeah.
should maybe explain it because I don't know that everybody's going to get the commercial.
Oh, okay. So that's what I was trying to do. So there was a commercial back in the 70s and 80s, maybe early 80s, and it was for Calgon. It was for bubble bath. And I remember these commercials, and it was basically a woman who was like a mom or something, was working hard, and she'd lock herself in the bathroom, and it would be this beautiful scenario and birds chirping and butterflies flying around, and she'd be in this bubble bath with her hair up in a messy bun, looking all glamorous in the bathtub. And it was Calgon, Take Me Away. And so I was thinking about that, with all the craziness happening right now and how I have been feeling over the weekend and yesterday. And it made me think, Calgon, take me away. And so where would you want to be taken away to?
So first of all, if I go into the bathroom and shut the door, and there's birds and butterflies, I'm take me away from that bathroom. Like I do not need birds and butterflies in my bathroom. I'm just putting it out there. Just don't
Okay.
get any crazy ideas. I'm
No,
just
I don't want birds and butterflies in the
just
apartment.
saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's that. Well, it's a good question. Well, I'm gonna do two answers to that. Um, so one is Israel because I just feel it in my soul that it would be healing for my soul, and people that I know that are there with everything going on still say it. They feel safer and more relaxed than they do anyplace else. But there's another part of me that would just like to be someplace where there's like no internet and no anything and I don't know where that place is. I don't know if it's Costa Rica or,
I think they have internet in Costa Rica.
yeah. Well, we could probably find places where they don't. You know what I'm saying,
I
smartass.
know.
I'm saying a place that's like that
Yeah.
balance of like
Chill,
not too crazy
chill.
hot and
Yeah.
humid with insects that are this big, but someplace that's like
I
just
think they have
very,
insects that big in Costa Rica, though.
okay. Again, not the point. Okay, so yeah, I mean, yeah, that would something, and I don't have that place. I don't have that place. Like I don't know that place. But I one day we'll find it.
Okay.
All right, so now it's your turn. We're going to start at the top, even though you did answer the first one. But since we're going to do it properly, you're going to have to do it again. So, who is the greatest leader you can think of anywhere in history?
Hmm. Okay. We're going to scrap my first answer.
Okay.
I'm going to say Winston Churchill.
That one came up as one of my thoughts too, but I had other reasons to say no against it.
The reason I'm going to give a reason just because it is actually one of my favorite quotes of all time, and it's the quote about persistence. And honestly, I can't recite it, but if anyone's listening to this, look up the quote on persistence. Oh shit, I think it was actually Calvin Coolidge who said that.
Okay, so Steph has three, even
All
though she's
right.
only allowed to have one. I'm just seeing if there's a pattern here. Everybody's pay attention.
Yeah.
So okay. Next question. If you could offer one piece of advice for dealing with conflict of opinion in a close relationship, what would it be?
I would say seek to understand before seeking to be understood, and also to give a big hug.
How Buddhist of you is that? Okay. All right. Well, I'll take the hug. Um, I love me a good hug. Okay, you do know the Calgon commercial, obviously, because you told us all about it. Where would you go right now to escape?
I would love to be, you know, taken to some beautiful hotel in the south of France with one of those like balconies where, you open the shutters and you step out in the balcony and there's the sea, and that would be amazing. That's where I want Calgon to take me.
So south of France,
Hmm.
in a 5+ star hotel.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. I'm not paying for it
Just managing expectations. Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I think that's a wrap
that's a wrap.
on this one. I will work on getting another job and making sure I can take you on that trip to south of France one of these days, sooner rather than later, if while France still exists. Yeah.
Well, we
Um,
can still go there.
well, yeah, yeah. It's gonna get a lot better than it is, and unfortunately, history of the world has shown us that we as a society still can't learn that it doesn't have to get worse before it gets better. But apparently, that seems to be the way humans like to function. But anyway,
Yeah.
thank you for humoring us and listening to us ramble and talk about stuff that we hope is helpful as we process it. That helps you process it as well. And until next time, thank you for joining us on
Peace.
Pickles and Pasta with the
Have some fun, guys.
sound effects girl over there, Stephanie, and showing us her have some fun today. So, bye.
Love you guys. Bye.